everybody, welcome to the D. Louise Book Series channel. I'm Christina Kristina. This is where we read books and talk about books. No special effects here, no theme music, nothing special, just very, very low tech here. And I'm hoping for a Christmas miracle. It's not going very well, but I'm still hoping. I am hoping for 1,000 subscribers by Christmas. Those of you who've already subscribed, thank you very much. A little over 140 now. I need 900 more. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. I mean, it's been almost a year now. But hey, a miracle, one of you could spread it to your page someplace, and I could take off like fire or rockets or Christmas stuff or reindeer. What dinner? You're on my papers. So as you know, the month of December, I go to my comfort books, my Janet Evanovich and my J.D. Robb to get me through the holidays, as most of my relatives have died. And it's a little sad for me. So we are doing, standing on my book. Sorry. 12 Sharp. And Lorelei King, I worship the ground. She's awesome. I do all of them on audio. And Susan Erickson for J.D. Robb. And this book is a little different than the previous books. It's not as funny, but it is really good. It is one of the better. 11 was really good, and this is really good too. We get a lot of backstory on Ranger, a lot of information. So we have her mom and her dad, and then Stephanie's a bounty hunter. She works for Cousin Vinny. Connie is the office manager. Lulu is her assistant. Grandma Mazur is our comedy relief. Joyce Barnhart is a woman that likes to make trouble. She'll sleep with Vinny just to get a job. She's the reason that Stephanie's marriage broke up. Stephanie found her husband on the kitchen table with Joyce Barnhart. And we have a lot of other, we see Sally Sweet. It's a Salvatore Sweet. He's a cross-dresser. And he goes by Sally Sweet, and he started a band. And Grandma joins the band. And Joseph Morelli is her boyfriend, on-again, off-again boyfriend. He's also a cop. Ranger is her on-again, off-again bedroom partner. And he does special forces. He does security. We don't see Big Blue in this one much. We don't see Big Blue. Rex, the hamster, her beloved hamster. We don't see. I'm not sure if we see. I think we do see Grandma Bella in this one, Joe's grandmother. And yeah, we don't see any of our regulars. We've got a whole bunch of news. Tank, Rangers guy, a couple of other Rangers people. We see more of his people. So Lula is announcing at the beginning of the book that she is going to be in the band with Sally Sweet. And cannolis, any of that good stuff. Ranger comes in and he tells her that he's got to go out of town for a couple days. If she needs something, call Tank. Stephanie and Lula go after Lonnie Johnson. He's a very high bond. They are unsuccessful. Another bond of theirs is Melvin Pickle. He provides a little comic relief. He's working in a shoe store, and they go to get him. He takes off. He ends up on the roof of a hotel building. She's on the hotel building, sitting on the edge with Melvin. Her grandmother calls her and goes, "You're breaking news. You're on the thing." And so They eventually talk Melvin down off the ledge, and Morelli greets her. Her boyfriend gives her a kiss, glad she's safe. Then when they go back to the office, a mysterious woman has been calling all over town and going to all of Stephanie's favorite places to say that she is Carmen Manoso's wife. So she calls Grandma about her skip Mary Lou Turk, and Grandma says that the woman Carmen had called her, and they were looking for the house, and then they take Mary Lee, she's a skip, to help her get through her booking to the bakery, and Stephanie is driving a black and white Mini Cooper this particular book, and she runs into the woman that says she is Ranger's wife. Stephanie doesn't, at first, Stephanie, is really upset about this, that she didn't know, and then she starts to think about it and doesn't think it's true. And just like, there's a couple of people that, what's that other lady's name? Leanne, but there's another one that comes up later, that Stephanie, like with Joe, it's Terry Gilman. Every time he sees Terry Gilman, even if it's a work thing, Stephanie gets all upset in her brain, and she's got this thing, and then she's a little upset about this Carmen lady, but the more she thinks about it, the more she realizes it isn't true. But this woman's going around. And she goes to her apartment, then to Morelli's. They talk about this Carmen woman. She does surveillance on Stephanie. Connie does a run on Carmen, and then they find out about a house fire. So then they decide they're going to go after Lonnie Johnson, then they're not going to go after Lonnie Johnson. Karen Scazzoli takes out a gun. They go to take down Carolyn Scully, and she works in one of those adult shops. Not a classy Vicky's, like I call them, or not a classic Freddy's, like I call them, but one of those other shops that also sells those pieces of equipment. And they get conned into buying a few bobs, if you know what bob is, a mechanical device. So then they leave. They've got $100 worth of crap from this shop, and they leave. Then Connie has put out an ad. They need help. They've got a ton of skips. They put out an ad for a bounty hunter, and every crackpot in the world shows up, and they end up keeping Joyce Barnhart, and Melvin Pickle takes on a job as filing. And he does a really, really good job of filing while Lula is helping out Stephanie with the skips. Grandma calls her about the viewing for Catherine, because that's the thing in the Berg. In the Berg, their form of gossip or entertainment or socialization, going to the deli, going to the bakery, deli, bakery. Oh, there was another one. I can't think of it right now. And then the funeral home to socialize over a viewing. Even if you don't know the deceased, weren't friends with the deceased, but he was in the neighborhood, you go catch up with the gossip. So, deli, bakery, hair salon. That was the other one, the beauty parlor. Grandma, there's new owners of the funeral home since Costanza and Spiva were arrested in the last book. There was a big situation with them. Albert, there's an alert that goes out. Hi, co-host. Hi, other co-host. An alert goes out of a child alert, an Amber Alert, and Julie Martine has been kidnapped. She's age 10, and she's Ranger's daughter. She's been kidnapped. And the finger is pointing at Ranger. It's not Ranger. Everybody who needs to know knows it's not Ranger, but the rest of the world needs to believe it's Ranger because the guy that did it is supposedly impersonating Ranger, and they want him to think that he got away with it. So she goes back to the office. They talk about Ranger. Carmen is at the curb. They get ready to do more interviews, and all of them are just horrible. Stephanie and Lou go after an FTA, and the band has a gig at a bar that night, and Stephanie makes Morelli go, and stuff happens there. She asked Morelli to try and find a picture of the fake Ranger. He doesn't come up with anything. The guy was completely fake. They go after a FTA, and they are successful. Then they go to collecting the bucket. Like I said, I've said it in previous books. Krispy Kreme, Dunkin' Donuts, collecting the bucket. I associate all of those things with Janet. And I associate Janet with all of those things. I cannot drive by the Krispy Kreme down the corner and not think of Janet. I cannot pass the Dunkin' Donuts and not think of Janet. I cannot go in the supermarket and walk past a Krispy Kreme display and not think of Janet. I cannot see one without the other. They are totally engraved in my brain as both. So that's why I was trying to purchase a cake. Pepperidge Farm has a golden cake. It's not here. Has a rich golden cake. Now, my supermarket right now is carrying the white coconut, which is just fine. But I wanted the golden one. Apparently, the golden one is not served in my area. And I've been trying to get a couple of different supermarkets to inquire about it. They have been unsuccessful. So apparently Pepperidge Farm is sending me a coupon. So we'll see if we get it. But what the hell's good of a coupon if the product is not available in your store? We're going to rant on that later. So they go with, they get Morelli to go to the bar with them to see Lulu and Sally Sweet, and things get out of hand. It really gets out of hand. Then the next afternoon, Carmen has been staking out the bond's office, and she's still parked out front. They go to check on her because the car hasn't moved. Well, she's apparently been shot through the head, so she's not going to be doing anything well. Stephanie gets an email. She had emailed a whole bunch of people she knew that the Unranger was from Virginia, and he was working at some mall, and so she has Connie try and find a picture on the computer. No luck. She goes home, and she stops on the way home to get a pizza to cheer herself up after a day, and Ranger is now in her apartment. They talk about the imposter and Ranger's new vehicle and his new look. He's wearing Abercrombie and Finch instead of his black jeans, black t-shirt, black hat. He's trying to look like not him. The Ranger is a good sight. Ranger was there when she wakes up and tells her the background on the case. And you know that I can't do these books without sharing them with you. I just can't. I opened an eye and squinted at my bedside clock. 6:30 in the morning. My alarm wasn't set to go off for another hour, but something dragged me awake. I opened the other eye and did some deep breathing, sucking in the smell of coffee brewing. I rolled out of bed and shuffled into the dining room. Ranger was at the table using my laptop. Huh? Coffee's in the kitchen. What are you doing here? No computer in the safe house, and I thought this was easier than getting Tank to try to get me a laptop to me. I had some things I wanted to run down. I don't have a good program. I don't need programs. Silvio is sending me information from Miami. How long have you been here? An hour. So he tells her what happened. 2 weeks ago, someone started using a credit card issued to Range Minoso Enterprises with my name on it. Silvio found it during a routine scan. Silvio traced Range Minoso, and to the best of our knowledge, this guy appeared in Arlington 6 months ago and set up shop. I was about to go to Arlington and shut him down when we discovered he moved on. And then all of a sudden, he started using the card in Miami. We assumed he was there reestablishing himself, but in retrospect, I think he was there to get Julie. So you went to Miami to find this guy, and before you got to him, he took Julie. Yes, the guy has kidnapped Ranger's daughter. And that's what this whole spiel is about. And until you called Tank and told him someone smoked Carmen, we had no reason to think he was in Jersey. We thought he either hunkered down somewhere in Florida or else he was in a car moving around. We didn't think he'd be able to get Julie through security and onto a plane. And the FBI was combing passenger lists for Julie Martin and Carlos Mantos and not finding anything. Apparently, he drugged her, put her in a wheelchair, put her cast on, and people just thought she was drugged out of pain because she had a broken leg. That's how he got her through security. That's explained later. I guess that's a big spoiler. So Ranger and Stephanie go to Virginia to check him out. She goes to Carmen's old house where she was living. She talks to two friends of Carmen's. They say they never saw the guy, but that Carmen talked about him constantly. And they say that he was working as a security guard in the mall. They go to the mall. They get his background. They get his real name. They go to his apartment. And in the apartment, they find some scary items. A photo album totally composed of Ranger's surveillance pictures, tracing him all over the place, and Ranger and his daughter in Florida. And it really upsets Ranger that he was not aware of this situation was going on. He's supposed to be this expert in security, and somebody was doing security on him, and he wasn't aware of it. And this upsets Ranger a lot. So then they go back home. Melvin calls. There's a crowd at the bond office. Connie had to go bond out someone else, and Melvin is at the office all by himself with all these people applying to be a bounty hunter. So Stephanie goes. She gives them all $5. Go have coffee, and we'll see you at 9:30. You at 10:10. You at 10:30. You at 11. None of those people work out, so they end up probably going with Joyce Barnhart again. So Morelli calls with a report on Carmen, and I want to see why I made a note of this. Yes, young lady. We almost got 2 more today. Almost. But they were feral, and they had not been fixed yet, and they had fleas. And I was not going to bring fleas into this house. I wasn't going to have to go through that expense of getting the Revolution. I recommend Revolution. You have to get it from your vet, though. And it's expensive, but it does the work. A lot of the other programs, over-the-counter stuff, my cats got sick of. So the Revolution was really worked well for us in the past years. And since my cats are 100% free now of fleas, and they're totally indoors, to bring feral cats into the house who might be tempted to run away because they're used to being outdoors, and the fleas, and the fact that they would need all of their first shots and their spaying and all, it was just too much. Usually if you go to a shelter, the first shots and spaying and all that kind of stuff has been done. But we will eventually get another couple of cats because I need my comfort care cat. I think I explained previously that there's 2 kinds of cats. There's the cat that will let you hold them whenever you want, will come to you whenever you want. They'll be there. You can hug them for hours. That's my cat. That's the cat I need. My cat that did that for me passed away of a brain tumor a little while ago, and then his mother died of cancer a couple years ago. The current cats that we have are the majority normal cats that want to be held on their terms. You can pick them up and they'll scream and yell and curse at you. You put them down and they'll come back, because when they come back, it's on their terms. And that's the difference. Or they'll come to you when they want to, but not the other way around. So I need my comfort care cats back. So I will be looking for those in the next couple of months. We'll see how things go. Um, I'm really tempted to go out and get these cats, but the fleas is a big, huge issue, and there's no way. I just can't. As much as I want these cats from this lady, she's got a whole bunch, and I would be willing to take them all. But the fleas and to spay all these, it would just be a tremendous expense. So we'll see what happens. I'm still looking for that tax refund, the one from March, the one that the IRS lost. Oh well. Where were we with our book? I went into my bedroom, closed the door, stripped out of the spaghetti clothes. I hopped in the bathroom and stopped short when I looked at the sink. Ranger's razor and shaving gel, Ranger's toothbrush. I went back to the bedroom and looked in the closet. Ranger's clothes. Ranger had moved in. I locked myself in the bathroom and did some deep breathing. He moves in. So then Ranger's doing background checks on this guy's Scrooge. And Ranger tells her how he first encountered this guy that's kidnapped his daughter. 2 years ago, he was doing a Zach Campbell. He was caught in a drug bust 2 years ago. He skipped, and while he was in the wind, they tied him to a double homicide. I tracked him to Virginia, and Tank and I made the apprehension in a music and video store. Scrooge was working in the store at the time. I don't remember him, and I didn't have any contact with him that I remember. It was a quiet bust. We went in the small security waiting at the store entrance. I approached Campbell, introduced myself, cuffed him, and walked him out. No guns drawn. No, not necessary. I guess you made an impression. Apparently, that was the only connection I could find. I went into the kitchen and investigated the refrigerator. It was filled with Ranger food. Sandwiches, fruit, low-fat cream cheese, yogurt, and assorted snack vegetables, all cut and washed. I selected a baby carrot and dropped it into Rex's cage. I looked at the phone on the counter by the cage, and I saw that I now had a working answering machine. I don't want an answering machine, I yelled at Ranger. When this is over, you can throw it away. And she has a sandwich, and she tells Ranger, you have all this food, but there's no dessert. To Stephanie, one of the vital food groups is dessert, like I previously mentioned, with the Krispy Kreme or the cake or the bakery. She likes, her favorite is pineapple upside down cake. It's tradition. It's how she's grown up and how she lives. She's got to have the stuff. And apparently to get through the day, she needs a donut. So she goes to the bond office, and this Mary Masonette shows up as an applicant. And she smells like a cop, but she says she's not. She says she's the daughter of a cop, but she's got a mysterious background that's later revealed, so you'll have to read the book for that one. I'm not going to reveal it to you. So then she's getting a little temptation here. And these books are a lot more, this book is, some of the books are really silly, and you laugh your butt off. But this one is a little more on the serious side because of the subject. And it is really good, and it's showing Stephanie's conflict between the two men also. How she's torn. Morelli is this type of guy, but Ranger is the other kind. She says, I woke up wrapped in Ranger's arms and our legs intertwined. My face snuggled into his neck. He smelled nice. He felt even better, warm and friendly. I enjoyed it for a moment before reality took hold. This is a little deja vu, I said to him. Didn't you start the night out on the couch? No, I was on the computer when you went to bed. You were already asleep by the time I was done. So you climbed in next to me. I thought when you moved in, you'd be sleeping on the couch. You thought wrong. You can't sleep in my bed. It just isn't done. I have a boyfriend. He's a nice guy, but he's not good with sharing. Babe, we're sharing a bed, not a sexual experience. I control myself if you can. Oh, great. Ranger's face creased into a smile. You can't control yourself? I bit my lower lip. Stephanie, you shouldn't tell me things like that. I'll take advantage. I blew out a sigh and rolled away from him. No, you won't. You're Ranger. You're the guy who protects me. Yes, but not from myself. I kicked the covers off and slid out of bed. I needed to find Edward Scrode. I needed to find him now. I couldn't manage another morning of waking up next to Ranger. So Morelli calls. She tells him about Scrode and fills him in on that stuff. And so I told him about Edward Scrode and the scrapbook and the computer blocks. So you're sitting here trying to provoke him into making a move. Yep. This is a dangerous, stupid idea. He shot his wife, and there's no reason to think he won't shoot you. Yeah, I said, but I don't think he'll shoot me right away. That makes me feel a lot better, Morelli said. I'll tell that to my acid reflex. And this gets to be a thing, his acid reflex. I'll be fine, I swear, I told him. Morelli made a disgusted hand gesture. I didn't see this, Morelli said. I want to be kept appraised of the evidence you gather. And if you overstep boundaries with Stephanie and move in on me, he said, turning to Ranger, I'll find you and it won't be good. Morelli took a blueberry muffin out of a bag, jogged back to his car, and took off. Ranger smiled at me. Just so you know, that's not going to stop me from trying to move in on him. You and Morelli have entirely different agendas. Morelli wants to marry me, and you want to... Babe, what I want to do to you is no secret, and I want to do it bad. That includes marriage, pregnancy, and anything non-consensual. He ran a finger under the strap of my tank. I will make a move with a partial consent. So she goes to the office. Morelli found a car at the airport with a scrunchie that matched Julie's DNA. Ranger's getting upset. She goes after an FTA, and he's worried about his hair, going to jail. Stephanie takes him to the funeral parlor for beauty tips. Who does people well, who makes them look great in their worst moment? A funeral parlor. She takes him to a funeral parlor, and the funeral parlor reveals that they have Carmen Reynoso in waiting. And Stephanie's like, oh, cool, wow. Calls Ranger. Hey, Ranger, they got the Carmen here. We can set up a viewing, and maybe Scrode will come and we'll capture Scrode. And it becomes the biggest thing. Her grandmother is very, very excited about the viewing. The whole neighborhood is excited about the viewing, and they're all going to go. Like I said, it's a community thing. So Stephanie goes after, let's see what this says, another FTA. So they go back after the lady with the adult store, as previously mentioned, where they bought the it was 2 H's, the Herbie the horse, or whatever the hell it was called, because it was big enough for a horse. We really don't want to keep this PG. So Stephanie and Lila decide they're going to go after this woman again, but this time, instead of trying to get her in the store, they're going to take her out in the parking lot. So when the woman comes out of the building, they're going to get her. And this time, however, they have Ranger and Tank as backup. And so she sensed I was there, turned and uttered an oath, and took off at a fast shuffle. I was almost within arm's reach of her when Tank stepped out of a shadow, blocking her way. Excuse me, ma'am, Tank said. Scazzoli backed up a step and kicked him in the nuts. Hard to believe anyone that old could get her leg up that high, but Scazzoli scored a direct hit. Tank turned white and went down to his knees, hands at his crotch. Ranger was behind him, doubled over laughing. I tackled Scazzoli, wrestled her to the ground. Someone freaking cuff her, I yelled. I'm trying, Lula said. You gotta hold her still. She's like an octopus waving her arms and legs around. So they get her tagged and bagged into the police station. Morelli calls and says that they lost Grog, and the police called everyone in to go to the viewing for Carmen, all different agencies. So I talked about this before, but I mentioned this. Ranger walked in and caught me with my head in the refrigerator. The food fairy left sandwiches, salad, fresh fruit, bagels, cream cheese, and lox for Nova Scotia, but no dessert. I don't eat dessert. Yes, but it's my refrigerator. Ranger removed the gun he'd been wearing and placed it on the kitchen counter, besides his car keys. I'll pass the word to Ella. She's got to have her dessert. I said that before. She's got to have her dessert. There was a break-in at the Bond's office, and it was the Ranger impersonator, and he looked like Ranger so much that Ranger's guy stopped for a second. And when the guy stopped, it took him a second to realize that was not Ranger. When he really looked at him, it wasn't Ranger, but it was at first glance. But then when you really looked at him, you could tell it wasn't Ranger. But that moment of hesitation, the fake Ranger shot him. So he gets shot several times, but because of the Kevlar vest he was wearing, only the bullet in the arm gets it. So then, after the traumatic experience at the police station, I was in my knit tank top and cotton boxers. My teeth were brushed and my face was washed and moisturized. I was exhausted. I wanted to sleep. Problem was, there was a man in my bed and I didn't exactly know what to do with him. I knew what I wanted to do with him and I knew what I should do with him. Unfortunately, what I wanted to do and what I should do were two very different things. Even without Morelli, I'd have a dilemma deciding on a path of action with Ranger. I blew out a sigh. Stephanie, 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 I said to myself. That's a big fib. You know exactly what you'd do about Ranger if Morelli wasn't in the picture. You'd ride him like Zorro. Ranger was watching me. Are you coming to bed? I'm thinking about it, I told him. Come closer and I'll help you decide. Oh my God, I said, on a sudden flash of sleep deprivation insight. You're the big bad wolf. You gotta love it. So, one thing leads to another, and her and Ranger start to get romantic when Morelli walks in. So close, saved by the knock. So Lula and Stephanie go after another FTA, and I have to share. I got 3 things. They're talking about Mary, the new lady that's come into the office to be the bounty hunter. They have her going through files first before they take her out in the field. And first is, there's something bothering me about Mary. I don't know what it is. Second thing, where the heck did Ranger and Tank come from last night? Tank doesn't talk. He wouldn't say nothing. And third is, Tank don't need to talk because he's right about being big. It's like wrestling some prehistoric monster. I like having a go at King Kong, but he's big all over the place, if you know what I mean. I tell you I'm in love. I don't need to go visit that pleasure treasure on account of I found my own pleasure treasure and his name is Tank. Probably he has some other name, but I don't know what it is. He wouldn't tell me that either. Maybe it's just that Mary is new. Mary is new and I don't feel like that about him, and it isn't that I don't like Mary. She's real likable. I just don't feel comfortable with her. So we have that situation going on. Then they were going to go after this big bond, and then they decide they're not in the mood. And so Stephanie decides they're going to go to Point Pleasant to hang out. They want to get away from it all. They need a couple of hours to vegetate. And Stephanie ditches all her stuff, all her panic button, stuff like that. So I knew. Are you sure I wasn't at Point Pleasant? I knew it was either the mall or Point Pleasant, and there were no background mall sounds when you called to me. You followed me down there? No, I said Hal and Roy. I didn't see them. That's my point. Hal doesn't blend in. It's like being followed by Stegosaurus. So if you didn't see Hal, you sure as hell weren't going to pick out Edward's scroll. He tossed his keys on the kitchen counter. If you have an issue with me, I expect you to tell me about it, not run away. You don't listen. I always listen, Ranger said. I always don't agree. So they go to the viewing, and as you know, as I've said before, Grandma Mazza has to have the coffin open. She goes to the viewing just to see the deceased, and she doesn't think it's fair that the coffin is closed, and she'll do anything and try any trick she can figure out to get that coffin lid open. Let's see. Nelson grabbed me by the front of my shirt. You have to help me. These people are insane. Your grandmother is insane. She started it all. Somehow she got the lid up, and now everyone wants to see. Is there a problem with that? I asked. Carmen Minosa was autopsied. She makes Frankenstein look good. She had her brains taken out and weighed and put back in. Oh yeah, I said. I forgot. I drove here from Perth Amboy, some lady said. I'm not leaving until I get to see the body. Yeah, everyone said. We want to see. I'm telling you, this is how it is. So then Stephanie goes back to her apartment, and she's had it. She's absolutely had it. She can't take it anymore. She goes in, Morelli and Ranger are in her living room. She goes in her bedroom. She packs a suitcase. She climbs out the fire escape, and she walks right into Ranger and Morelli, who knew exactly what she was doing. Grandma Mazza has joined the band with Sally. They have a couple of gigs. Vinny shows up for a brief appearance. She talks about Mary, and they end up giving Joyce Barnhart Lonnie Johnson just to take care of him, get rid of her. He's a real capture. She wants a real capture. Her and Mary go after another capture. They get him real easy. Then she goes to her apartment and she talks to Ranger, and Ranger's checking at Mary. He's also there when Scruggs calls to set up an appointment to meet Stephanie. He wants her to change her clothes. She's not dressed like an appropriate bounty hunter, and he wants her to dress like Joyce Barnhart in all the leather. And Stephanie agrees to all this stuff on the condition that he lets her talk to Julie, Ranger's daughter. So then she has dinner at her parents, and she goes to the meeting with Scruggs, and I will read you there. There's a couple of important parts at the back of the book. You'll have to read the book to find out the complicated way that Scruggs gets a hold of Stephanie and the maneuvering he has her do. And Ranger has an incident at the end of the book too, so I won't tell you about his status. You'll have to read the book. But Morelli says to her, "When this is over and I get you back into my house, you're not going to have time for beer. I'm going to get you naked and make sure all the scary bad thoughts are pushed out of your mind. Be careful tonight. Put the panic button somewhere it can't easily be found. I'll be around if you need me." But of course, Scrooge makes her do all these difficult maneuvers and drive in all these different places and makes her get rid of all her phones and all that kind of stuff. And she finally gets to see Julie and how she gets Julie out of the situation, how she convinces Scrooge to do something, go after an FTA. It's a really good, intriguing story, and I hope you will check it out. And Ranger has an issue at the end of the book, so you want to see how he fares. You'll have to read it, how her relationship with Joe is going to be established after this is another thing. How her relationship with Ranger after this is going to be another thing. Check out the audiobooks. They are absolutely awesome. Lorelei King is just the best. It's 12 sharp. And check it out. And we will be doing Lean Mean 13 coming up soon. So please check it out. Please hit the like and subscribe. Help me get my miracle for Christmas. I know it's going to be a little hard. Actually, it's probably going to need a miracle to get it done. So please stick with me. Please hit the like and subscribe and have a good night. Thank you.